Hi friends, I'm gonna get straight into the message. Some things I got while I was meditating. Childhood trauma, ancestral energy. Today we're gonna focus on specifically what in your ancestral line are you having to work through within the present moment is what we're gonna ask. We're doing strictly tarot today. Also got the energy of release, especially around this topic of childhood trauma and this ancestral energy. Synchronicities, specifically regarding technology. Like today, I dropped my phone and just so happens that I have a new one coming in the mail tomorrow. Just synchronicities in general. But there could specifically be something around like technology, like you seeing posts that are very in alignment or tarot readings that are very in alignment with you. Right now we're in Mercury retrograde and there's also just a lot going on astrologically as well. And so you could be feeling this energy very intensely. All signs are feeling it intensely, but I know that there are specific signs that are feeling it more intensely than others right now. But you could be experiencing feelings of burnout, tiredness, mental exhaustion, wanting to spend more time with yourself, feelings of discontent with your current reality, which could kind of be coming up out of nowhere for you. This is just a time of release, so you could feel like you're purging and releasing a lot of things, crying uncontrollably, anger, also just bouts of just uncontrollable laughter as well. All of those could be things that you're kind of interacting with today. We're going to use my primordial tarot deck. This is the first time that I will be using this deck, so bear with me if I have to refer to the book for certain things as I learn and get more familiar with this deck, but it was kind of screaming at me. Channel song I got was Sia's Breathe Me. Help, I've run it again. I have been here many times before. Oh, hurt myself again today. And the worst part is there's no one else to blame. Be my friend, hold me, wrap me up. Just gotta kind of pay attention to the lyrics. There's something about like self-harm and not just like the ways that we automatically think of it, but also like with your addictions. Self-harm through food, self-harm through your interactions with certain people, self-harm through just bullying yourself, saying very unkind things to and about yourself. One else to blame. And I think with this whole there's no one else to blame, we're going to go into with this ancestral energy, because I'm reading Mark Wolins. It didn't start with you right now. When we're going into this ancestral energy, we're looking to see what was unresolved by our grandparents, our great-grandparents, our great-great-grandparents, and within our lineage that could be affecting us right now as we're in this release energy. I'm being called that this isn't just your energy to release. Please God, in this reading, what is collective needs to hear? What is collective needs to know right now as far as this ancestral energy? What are ancestors calling for us to release right now from our bloodline? Hope I've done it again. I have been here many times before. Oh, hurt. 11 of Pentacles. Could be calling you to release trauma around your throat chakra. I'm drawn to singing. Singing can be significant, or a fear of singing. Something you may be passionate about but afraid to do. I feel like even if singing isn't necessarily your thing, I think it's something specific about singing without shame. I feel like singing and dance, they're two things that, like, a lot of the time when we do them, we're so hyper fixated on the judgment of them that we don't do them. And not allowing yourself to do them causes a blockage within yourself, specifically around your self-esteem. So I feel like even if you are a person that does not necessarily, trying to look to make a career out of singing, or it's not something that, like, you do all the time, like, I encourage you to sing one of your favorite songs, even if you have to be in a space where it's just you and you're by yourself. And you need to sing it loudly, and you need to sing it without judgment, because there's something around you needing to unblock your throat chakra. There's something around the trauma within your lineage around this throat chakra energy, specifically on the feminine side. Something about the women not being allowed to speak, to be seen and not heard. And so right now, you're being called to speak, and you're being called to speak unapologetically. You're being called to say what you need to say, and say it without regard of how it is going to make another person feel. And I don't feel like I need to clarify to you that it's not, that does not give you a free for all to, like, be mean and nasty. Like, I think if this finds you, it's for a very specific person, and I feel like we're already on the same accord. Like, you speaking how you feel in the moment that you feel it, regardless to how it's going to be taken, is very significant right now. Right now is a time for you to release that energy, because it's going to release something deeper inside you. The more that you continue to speak up for yourself and you advocate for yourself, I feel like that we have a lot of sacral energy right now, and also solar plexus energy. And I feel like to help break up those two, there's something significant about your voice that's going to help you unlock this new level of confidence. That's going to help you release the trauma that you have around your self-esteem, your self-worth, your self-concept, this childhood trauma that was also rooted in, you could have been told as a child a lot that it's your job to be seen and not heard. Thank you, Spirit. Many times before, today. Worst part is there's no Six of Cups. Six of Cups. You could have had a revelation this most recent full moon that we had. The blood moon was also a lunar eclipse. It's been a lot going on astrologically. This this year of the horse has been coming in with the effing bang. And you could have been feeling very emotional. It could have been a very heavily emotional, just that very heavy emotional release time right now. Excuse me, confirmation burp. There could have been something that, where you could have just been feeling very off that day, and you might not even have been cognizant that it was a full moon on the day that this was happening. The full moon happened March 3rd. It peaked at 3 something a.m. I think it was like 3:04 or something a.m. And there, you could have woken up around that time. You could have had very restless night's sleep. You also could have had some very strange, vivid dreams that were, like, very emotionally heavy, that might have disturbed you during that time when you were asleep. Something about this being around nighttime, that you had some sort of, like, epiphany or energetic release. And this is ancestral energy that's moving through you right now. You also could have just had a situation where you felt the need to, like, speak up for yourself. And that could have been very cathartic and painful at the same time. You could have had a lot of shame attached to speaking up to yourself, speaking up for yourself, speaking up to yourself. maybe some level of honesty that you've created within yourself. I mean, getting brutally honest about what are the things that you want to change and the steps that you're going to take to change them. If you're a masculine, or a man specifically, there could be something around emotional blocks within your lineage. There's something about this card that like screams to me like just that classic machismo complex, you know, I'm a man and I'm not allowed to feel sort of thing. It also draws me to this show that I've been watching called Blue Therapy on Netflix, which is focusing on, I really feel like it's to help people of color just be more exposed to this idea of therapy. But it's specifically within relationships, and a lot of the men speak about this thing that we hear a lot about, not feeling safe to express their emotions or not feeling like their emotions are valuable. And I feel like within your lineage, this is something that may be significant for you on the masculine side. Whereas the woman had to be seen and not heard, the man had to be heard but not seen, is what I'm hearing. It's interesting. Like his presence had to be known, but the content of his character didn't matter as much. No one asked him how he was doing, if he needed anything. This could be your father, your grandfather. Could have not just communicated very often about their feelings, not letting you know how they feel. It could have come off as very cold, very distant. You could have constantly been in a state of questioning if there was something wrong with you, because the only thing that you were given was criticism. And so you could be very hypercritical of other people, but also very critical of yourself. And that's what this period of time your ancestors are helping move through you and release through you. So if you've been a masculine that has suppressed your emotions for quite some time, do not be surprised if you cry more this month than you ever have in your entire life. And it's very important that you allow it to flow and that you do not judge yourself. There's nothing weak about crying. You wouldn't be given that emotion. You wouldn't be given that ability to shed tears if it was not something that you were meant to do. And I wouldn't spend time around anybody that tells you anything otherwise, because they don't know what they're talking about and they're projecting. We got I believe this is 5 of Wands. Give me a second. It's green energy with this card. That heart chakra energy. I'm drawing again with the masculine with this card. It has like an 8. He has a rock on the top of his head. He be hard-headed, very stubborn, a compulsive need to control everything around you. Also a compulsive need to control other people. You could have not been given a lot of freedom in your childhood. You weren't treated like you had your own, you know, autonomy. Child, I'm not gonna lie. Stop our spirit of the blood. Some get that spread. I think I'm getting from this one is nature. I'm so sorry. Give me a second. Whether the play provides lessons for later in life, it's simply an expression of joy, result of curiosity. I don't think that this is right. What we're gonna read it how we're getting it intuitively. Until I get a full understanding of the suits. Yeah, I feel like for the masculines that are watching this reading, it's a lot right now about you needing to release your shame around your emotions and open up that heart chakra. There could be some things that you're holding on to. And you feeling like you constantly have to be strong is kind of perpetuating this cycle of toxic masculinity within your lineage, but also causing you frustration in your everyday life. That brings me to that statistic of like how many men die of heart attacks. And I think it's related to the suppression of emotions in a lot of ways. And like I said, you could also have some sort of severed or strenuous, strained relationship with a masculine in your life. Your father, your grandfather, your great-grandfather. Could have been a very contentious relationship. Confirmation burp. If you have the ability to, I would go outside, spend some time in nature, spend some time around the trees. They say that the trees are our ancestors, that the trees hold memories. He's standing up against, like, it has a face to it, like something was carved out of it, but I'm getting this very, like, just very large tree. I feel like it's like you need to touch the tree, like you need to ground so that you can hear yourself clearly. I feel like there could be a lot of noise going on around you, a lot of noise. And I don't just mean like people talking, like I'm hearing like loud TVs, loud music. I feel like you're constantly stimulated. You're constantly stimulated. You're constantly stimulating yourself because you don't feel safe in your own brain, in your own mind. Your mind feels weighty. Your head could feel like literally like 1,000 pounds on your shoulders. You could deal with a lot of shoulder and upper back pain. I'm also hearing that you don't allow yourself the freedom to make mistakes or accidents. And again, all of this is rooted in like ancestral energy in some way. So someone's in your bloodline that had to adapt these certain qualities in order to survive, in order to be safe. Also hearing that they could have been in like a very like tense political climate. And so stating their beliefs very openly, being very heart-led was not kind of like how we are right now, where it's like, you know, I hear so many people like, I don't agree with one side or the other. I think that they're both corrupt and that it's all to like create a certain level of separation within us. But like you hear a lot of people that associate liberal ideals with like they call them crunchy, or like it's just like something derogatory about being like an open, loving person, about accepting other people as they are for who they are and not operating from the space of hatred. That's more radical now than being a bigot and spreading hatred. And I feel like your ancestors could have come from a similar political climate in which their life and their freedom depended on them keeping their mouth shut and keeping their hearts kind of closed off, at least from all outward appearances. We're going to go into childhood trauma now, specifically. What childhood trauma do you need to release and let go? What childhood trauma is calling to be released right now within your energy? Thank you, Spirit. Queen of Wands, that mother energy. This severed relationship with your mother. She could contribute to some of that heart blockage. Both of your parents could. You could have like some sort of physical illness, some sort of issue around the heart, even if it's like acid reflux in it, but you feel it right here. There's something about a disconnected and severed relationship with the both of your parents. You could feel chest pains sometimes. Highly recommend that you read It Didn't Start With You. They have it on an audio book on YouTube if you don't like to read books. But I feel like there's something important about you shutting off your brain and learning to like not be constantly stimulated, which can be very difficult in the current world that we live in. There's something about this connection with your mother. She could have been a fire sign. Don't ask me what they are off the top of my head because I'm not sure. Aries and something. Look them up. She could have been a fire sign. She could have had a very fiery energy. Very, very hard to speak up to. Hearing she had like a hair trigger. Like it was very easy to trigger her. She didn't take criticism well. And so you could be very conflict avoidant. She also could have been very conflict avoidant. And like in the passive aggressive way of like, you know, she's mad at you, but she's not about to tell you why. And so you could pick partners that mimic this behavior. You could also mimic some of this behavior. And so you're moving through some of this right now. That's why you're being called to speak up, and you're being called to speak very openly about the way that you feel. The sun. You had this very sun-like energy, this very bright energy as a child. And you are calling yourself back into that energy right now. There's something that kind of attracted people to you as a child. You were the one everybody sought, you know, the new people sought to make friends with because there was something about your energy that felt very safe, very angelic. You also could just be good at everything, like everything. And we live in a world with like so many insecure people, which I say that from a state of love, like understanding that on a deep level. But one thing most insecure people don't want to be around is a person that makes them feel more insecure. And that's not your problem. But if someone doesn't like themselves and they're around someone that reflects back to them these qualities that they wish that they had, that they could tap into, because we all have it, but they wish that they could tap into, it can make them feel even more insecure. So in some ways, although it may have been easy for you to make friends, it could have been difficult for you to keep friends. You could have had a lot of people in and out of your life, and it kind of made you question yourself as if there was something wrong with you because no one stuck around. It's because they felt intimidated by this light. Your parents could have also seen this in you and only wanted you to grow so much, but they didn't want you to surpass them in any sort of way. And nothing that I say is ever about blaming your parents. It's about getting a better understanding so that you can, one, love yourself on a deeper level, which is going to naturally transfer into loving them on a deeper level and in a more holistic level, without expectation. But it's also very important for you to acknowledge the pain, to acknowledge the trauma. It's not to use it as an excuse for your behavior, but it's to help with that understanding. Because the more you understand something, the more you can dismantle it. And the more you can dismantle it is the more that you can start that process of healing. But not acknowledging it at all is not going to get you to that point. It's just going to continue this cycle of generational trauma, because you're going to pass it down to your kids, or you're just going to pass it down in all the interactions that you have with other people. You're going to spread negativity subconsciously without even knowing it, and you're going to continue to bring back these karmic lessons that are the result of you not working through these things that you're projecting onto other people. Last card. Oh, you said 2. All right. Ace of Pentacles. This could be a new financial chapter for you. A new chapter around you doing something that is heart-led, that is joyful for you, that is fulfilling for you. One of those things that you're really good at, that really stands out for you. This could be around music or singing. Bringing me back to that first card. Something around making music, also poetry, anything that involves you using your voice, public speaking. You're going to be able to make money off of it and start this new financial chapter of abundance when you open up this throat chakra, and also open up that heart, which, like I said, in turn is gonna, once you open up the throat chakra, is going to open up that heart and that solar plexus. Is something about these 3 right here. That's what the release is around. So don't be surprised if you're hit with just this creative flow like you've never been before, just because you're unblocking. The creative blocks are being removed. And Knight of Swords. You can feel like you're kind of going through battle right now. Love is a battlefield. Love could be something you feel like you've always had to fight for, like you've always had to earn. And you are, the love that you are creating and finding for yourself is what's teaching you that love is not something that is to be earned. It is something that is to be given freely. That's why you are alone at this point in time, or that is why you are feeling alone, is so that you can fill your own cup, so that you don't look to other people to fill it, so that you don't sit back and wait for somebody to save you. I am Supergirl and I'm here to save the world. I want to know who's gonna save me. I love that movie, Princess Diaries. Since I've been on my awakening journey, that has become like my favorite movie. And I cry every time I watch it because it's just so interesting. She just has that journey of like chosen ones choose. And she was also very like isolated, and you know, she was considered a social pariah before she found out who she was or who she was called to be. And then once she stepped into who she was called to be, they, you know, the people her age and even her phony best friend like didn't want anything to do with her. And that could kind of be where you're at. They liked you better when you were sad, when you were sick, when you were needy, when you were insecure, when you relied on them. And you could be questioning yourself and asking God and pleading for a sign to let you know if you're doing something wrong. But I'm here to tell you, you're not doing anything wrong. You're doing everything right. And the harder it is, the closer you are to that breakthrough. But you have to do the work. Something I got a few readings ago, the way will be made clear when you clear the way. And this is you clearing the way. You're clearing the debris. You're clearing the pipes. You're cleansing not just your own stuff, but your ancestral trauma. And please understand the magnitude of that. That is not something that is easy. So give yourself grace on this process, but understand also that it's not something that you can rush. I would practice staying very grounded and very present right now. Don't be in this energy of when it's going to be over. When am I going to get over this? It's not helpful. But like I said, you acknowledging it is the first step to you moving through it. I send you guys off with all the love in the world. Thank you so much for your time and your energy. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if this resonated with you. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Hang in there.